And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for Spooky Tales. Yes.
Playing with fire. Idris was a disturbed young man. Having grown up in an abusive household, he developed an antisocial personality. His parents were negligible, and when they did spend time with him, it was normally to take their anger out on him. The worst punishments he would receive from his father was when he put out his cigarettes on Idris's neck. He couldn't rely on his parents, and so he couldn't trust other people either. As such, Idris didn't have many friends. Little gave him much joy in his life. However, the one thing that brought him comfort was fire. He found it very fascinating. Idris loved the warmth, the sound, and how it destroyed everything it touched. It could turn wood into ash, plastic into goo, and the clean air into black smoke. Whenever his family or the town held social bonfires, he did not speak to or interact with anyone. He only enjoyed watching the fire as he threw as many objects as he could into it to watch it all burn. Throughout his teenage years, Idris became notorious for his pyromania. Often he would create fires in his backyard without his parents' permission. It would often result in a beating from his father, but to Idris, the joy of watching things burn was worth it. It eventually escalated into burning car parts in the local junkyard and burning down old abandoned houses. He was careful not to get caught, as he left his house late at night and relied heavily on lighters so no evidence would be left behind. Idris prided himself on being a master arsonist. One morning, he decided to do something different from his usual routine. As exciting as burning old cars and houses were for him, he wanted to make a forest fire. But Idris knew how risky it would be, as fire was hard enough to control by itself. But he had found a bare spot in the forest, very far away from where nearby hikers could see. There, he had spotted an ancient-looking tree. It was very thick, grayish in color, and had several threatening-looking branches, like monsters' claws. It almost looked alive, Idris thought. He hated how it looked. It was an ugly image of all of the negativity in his life. It was the perfect object to watch burn down. Idris made sure no one else was around, and he walked towards the tree with his lighter in hand. As he approached the tree, he felt a strange sensation, like a dark energy emanating from the tree, as if it were telling him to stay away. Idris ignored the feeling, though, as it was only a tree. He reached for a nearby branch and lit it with his lighter. Idris then backed away as he watched the fire grow. This was going to be exciting to watch the tree, isolated from all the other trees, burn down. He couldn't wait to watch the ugly-looking tree crumble away and feed the flames. But then, something strange happened. The flames on the tree erupted faster than he had expected them to, and as the flames grew, they seemed to jump from the tree and fly towards all of the nearby trees without any assistance of the wind. It was as if the fire was truly alive. At first, Idris thought that it had to have been the wind, but the fire continued to behave unusually as he watched it jump from tree to tree, growing bigger and bigger. Panicking, Idris began to run, but the fire began to leave the old tree and surround him. He tried desperately to find a way out, but the flames only grew bigger and hotter, and the smoke was unnaturally thick as he coughed, desperate for some fresh air. Idris felt the heat and the power of the flames he created. He ran faster, trying desperately to escape the flames he found so comforting before. But no matter how fast he ran, he could not escape the massive flames. He was trapped. Then the fire began to swirl into a great pillar in front of Idris. It had to have been black magic. This was not something from the real world, Idris thought. The fire pillar then began to form into what looked like a giant snake. It was something out of a nightmare. It was about 20 feet tall, with the ever-moving flames maintaining its mass size, dark spots where its eyes were supposed to be, and a gaping maw of long fire fangs. The fire was alive. For the first time in his life, Idris was afraid. He no longer had control of the fire before him. As the fire serpent moved towards him, roaring loudly, he could feel the temperature rising. He couldn't stand the heat, but he could not escape the fire. The fire he loved so much was going to consume him. As it came closer, his skin singed from the heat. His screams of searing pain disappeared into the roaring flames, and his body turned to ash, and his body turned to ash.